Hello and welcome to Red Wolf Roundtable. I'm Jacob Cater alongside my good friend and colleague, Mr. Caton Marsh. Caton, it's Texas State week. That's what it is. 2 of the 3 teams here at Arkansas State that are playing this week play against Texas State at home. Of course, soccer is one of those teams. Some questions about the offense coming up, and then looking forward to some more conference play. Volleyball plays Southern Miss this week, their first home conference game of the season. And then football had a 15-year streak snapped. And we'll look forward to that and look forward to Sun Belt play going forward and kind of wonder how that's going to go. So, yeah.
We're all home this week.
We are all home this week.
Every sport is home this week.
On campus here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and we are looking forward to attending the games. Thank you for watching Red Wolf Roundtable. We'll be right back for some sports talk.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
Hello and welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable as we take a look back on some happenings this week in sports for the Arkansas State Red Wolves. First, I would like to mention, and we don't talk about this sport very much at all on this show, golf. Our men's golf team went to Colorado to the Invitational and won the whole thing, led by Thomas Schmidt, who shot 22 under par for the second lowest score in NCAA history across 54 holes of golf. So shout out to Thomas Schmidt on that one, because that's just a phenomenal performance for our golf team.
It's pretty crazy.
Moving forward, football. The Rice Bowl, as what they're calling it, and just like a good dish of rice, Arkansas State got cooked this week. So, final score was 28-16, went down to Monroe, things did not go well. Defense didn't do too great, but they did step up. There were some improvements on that. But offense really struggled in this game.
So, you brought it up perfectly. And this is the first year that they coined it the Rice Bowl, correct? Mm-hmm. So I guess ULM starting new traditions. They're beating us for the first time. It's called the Rice Bowl.
In 15 years.
15 years. That's pretty disappointing, I will say that. Offense, like you said, didn't look too great. We didn't have a rushing attack.
We didn't have an offensive touchdown?
That too. The passing game looked all right. There were some underthrows and overthrows, errant interceptions that just don't need to happen. And overall, this game didn't look too good. But Rucker stepped up, Chauncey Cobb stepped up. And then just like what Jacob was saying, defense looked good. For the first time in a long time.
There were flashes of good looks on the defense, yes.
The first time since week 1, I could confidently say the defense looked like they stepped up. The one thing that I will mention is that we have to tackle at the first sight of attack.
Yeah.
That is our biggest problem right now. There were plenty of times where this defense stuffed a run, but the running back would shake off the tackle and gain 5 to 6 yards.
Yeah, and our ground attack this game was just not good. Straight up not good. A-State had 17 rushing yards total on 27 total attempts and averaged 0.4 yards per carry.
I will say the one thing to note is that some of those yards are coming off sack yards. in which, I hate to say it, but Jalen Raynor is holding on to the ball too long sometimes. I love that he can extend the play with his feet in the pocket or going past the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter, he can do it. Problem is sometimes he holds on to the ball way too long to the point where it creates negative plays. Sometimes it's third down, so really doesn't matter because he is trying to create that play in order to get the first down. But there are other times where you're like, just throw it away. There's nothing happening. I think one of the goal line runs he had, there was nothing there, and simply showed.
Yeah, I agree. And part of that problem is our offensive line. If you look back at the offensive line of this game, they allowed 6 sacks and they allowed 13 tackles for loss. The offensive line in this game did not look very good at all. And I don't think they've been just great this season in general, but this game especially, it did not look good.
This is one of the games that kind of begs the question of what this remaining schedule is going to look like. Hopefully we're underrating ULM. That's one of the things that we mentioned last week. Maybe this ULM team is turning it around because it certainly looks like it. Armenta had an amazing Lamar Jackson-esque play.
Yeah, you talk about Armenta, 17 for 26, 185 passing, 2 touchdowns, and he did throw an interception, which was taken back for the only touchdown that Arkansas State had that game. And ULM their run game and their pass game just about evened each other out, I think, in this game. And that's like, to Arkansas State, the defense, you said it stepped up, and it did, but there's a lot to improve upon still.
I think mainly, and we just talked about it, it's just the point of attack for tackling. I think we saw plenty of times where they had run stuffs, where they had stopped the play close to the line of scrimmage, and then they just couldn't follow through with the tackle. So I did like what I saw from the defense this week, and I think it can carry over pretty well. We have a lot of guys that play aggressive. Brennan Greil with a pick 6. We have Brandon Barnes at safety, DeMarcus Hendricks on the line, Nigel Nelson at linebacker. There's plenty of guys that show that they can step up, and I didn't even mention a lot of them.
Corey Rucker had a decent game. He had 11 catches, 123 yards. Rucker stepped up, and when what has been kind of I don't want to say disappointing, but he hasn't really just showed up this season like a whole lot. And Rucker is he's our guy. He's our guy. He's the guy that's been leading this team for the past few years. And just to see him this week kind of come out of like a slump that he's had this year, it was refreshing. It was refreshing to see Corey Rucker put a spark into an offense, and hopefully that can carry over into our next games.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we like to say is this is Corey Rucker's son as a team. Granted, we didn't get the win, but he still showed up against ULM like he usually does. I think this is a good sign moving forward because they utilized him in the run game. He had a couple sweeps and then a lot of short passes that it was kind of like an A.J. Brown type thing where you get the player that has done a lot for the team the ball because he can do a lot for the team in the offense. So I'm going forward, I think this can continue, and we saw someone like Chauncey Cobb as well do the same thing. He had 8 catches for 126 yards. And then there wasn't really much else. Hunter Summers didn't have the day that we've talked about, and hopefully he gets utilized more. But ultimately, we have talked about each week, it seems like a different receiver. Week 1, it was Cobb. Week 2, it was Summers. Week 3, it was Cobb again. Week 4, it keeps changing, and hopefully
this receiving core is very good. They have really great potential.
They are really good, but hopefully they can mesh together and, I guess in a sense, help each other out in terms and push that offense forward that we haven't gotten to see.
Exactly, and I do want to highlight Clune Van Andel, 52-yard field goal.
Guy's special.
He is. We're glad to have him. So to sum up, no offensive touchdowns. Offense needs to improve. Defense, definitely. They did better, but they still need improvements. We'll be right back for our second segment. We'll take a look and review some of our soccer and volleyball action from this past week. Keep it right here on Red Wolf Roundtable.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
When you say experience counts, it's experience that counts for a lifetime.
Boxes, boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it.
Welcome back here on Red Wolf Roundtable as we look at some of the games in review from soccer. Saturday, a tough 3-0 loss to Marshall. 5 total shots that game from the A-State offense. Not just too good.
This game definitely kind of showed the weaknesses, and it's not looking great. I don't want to tear this team down because they've stepped up big time, and we saw a lot of offense early on against tougher opponents, I might say, in Oklahoma State. But yeah, the last couple weeks and this last week in general, there hasn't been any offense. We have seen hardly anything go our way offensively, and it's kind of like what we were just talking about with football. This is 5 shots.
5 shots, no shots on goal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. I mean, our defense, I think, has still played at a fairly good performative level. And then we look at the offense, and it just doesn't even out. So there has to be some kind of spark there on offense. And I know we've highlighted several players on this team, Peacock being one of them. And there's several really good, talented athletes on this team, and we know that they have the potential to be a much better team and be competitive in the Sun Belt this year.
Absolutely. We've mentioned it before. We were picked, I believe, second or third to last to finish in the Sun Belt. They counted us out, but it hasn't looked great in conference play so far. I think we're 0-2-2 in conference play, and it's not getting any easier. That's for sure. So hopefully we can see the glimpses of the offense that we saw early on in the season in non-conference play, and hopefully it carries over going forward. Hopefully, I would like to say. I think we, like you were just saying, we have a lot of players that have the potential to break out in Kennedy Horn, Keelan Peacock, Lou Flores, and many others that I've forgot to mention. But hopefully this team shows their aggressiveness. I think they've been outbeaten in aggressiveness the past couple weeks, especially that Louisiana game, even though we tied. Louisiana was all over our side. Hopefully, moving forward, that can change.
Yeah, moving on to volleyball, Sun Belt Conference play opened this past week against Georgia State at Georgia State. A-State wins the first set 3-2, led by Dadriana Kale. 19 kills, 7 total blocks, 50% on the attack percentage, 24.5 points. She leads the team in a lot of those stats.
This player, we talk about her every week.
We do. It seems like we have to highlight this girl every week because she just does phenomenal.
She is amazing, offensively, defensively, no matter where she's at. She is amazing. She can serve.
Yeah.
She can play defense. She facilitates. I can't get enough of how good Dadriana Kale is. She was the moving factor in that game 1 when we kind of stepped down in the efficiency, but she showed up like she usually does. And she did it against game 2, but unfortunately we didn't win.
Game 2, A-State lost in straight sets, 3-0, but all 3 of those sets, like you said, were close sets. And I mean, second time we've been swept this season. The record improves to 8-5 and 1-1 in conference. And then shout outs again to some girls that we haven't really mentioned that played great. Erin Madigan, Valeria Ortiz, and Peyton Van Veen. This roster to me is just stacked. We've already seen how great this team is in upsets over Mizzou and beating Arkansas. This team will go far in the Sun Belt this year.
I will say, I like how you pointed out our 2 setters. They played amazing. There were some of the things that they had to set up that were on a tightrope against the net, and they put it up perfectly. They were right up against the net, didn't touch it, no net violation. They were special.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that we've pointed out in the past is the reception game and some of the defense, and the defense got shown up pretty big time in that second game against Georgia State. They did a lot of cross-court corner shots, and they attacked the middle. We looked really weak there. I think Georgia State has done their homework on Arkansas State because it showed in Game 1 and Game 2. Fortunately, we got the win in Game 1. But this team wasn't picked to be very high, and they have turned it around completely.
Yeah.
They were, I think, third to last in Sun Belt for Georgia State, and they've played amazing. They're, I think, 10-4 this season. So to see the change, their defense, I can't get enough of the defense for Georgia State. They looked amazing. I think Arkansas State responded very well, but there were still some things to point out that hopefully moving forward they fix up.
Sun Belt Conference play this year will be competitive, as we've already seen.
Fortunately.
And we'll go into that more in this next segment when we talk about some of the games that are coming up this week here on Arkansas State's campus against our Sun Belt opponents. Thank you for watching Red Wolf Roundtable. We'll be right back.
I think one of the things I learned at Arkansas State was life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, and that's just something that I live by.
A-State is home, and they're going to treat you like you're a part of the family.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. Getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable as we will look ahead to some of the games happening here on the campus of Arkansas State in Jonesboro this week. First one, soccer matchup Thursday against Texas State, who is pretty salty.
Yeah, well, we've talked about offenses and the previews or the reviews, and this Texas State team is really good offensively, scoring 28 goals, averaging 2.5 goals per game, and only allowing 1.3 goals per game. This team is really good, and this is going to be a real testament to our defense and especially our offense, because can they respond offensively to a high-power offense in Texas State, and as well as South Al. We play South Al on Sunday, I believe.
Yes, at South Al. Yeah.
And they're just as good offensively. Both of these teams are powerhouses. I believe it was South Al that tied to a ranked opponent in Oklahoma. So this week for soccer is going to be a real testament to see how good these offenses can respond to the high-powered offenses in Texas State and South Alabama.
I 100% agree. The offense, like we said earlier in the show, just did not really get off the ground in this past week's game, and I'm really looking forward to see if they pan out, because I would really like them to. I think we both would like them to. I think all A-State fans would like them to, and we know that this team has potential because we've seen it. The defense has been good. They need to, of course, there's always room for improvement, but keep staying consistent. Defense is what has kept us in close ball games, and then offense, of course. That's the challenge.
It flip-flopped, that's for sure, because in non-conference, our defense was questionable, but our offense was really good. In conference, it's kind of flipped. Unfortunately, Marshall scored 3 goals against us, but Deshane has been playing really well in conference play. There hasn't been a lot of goals. We had an own goal by unfortunate standards, but it has flip-flopped. Defense has stepped up, offense has kind of slowed down, and what we were talking about before, there's a lot of offensive players on this team that can really change a game. And one of them we haven't really seen much this year. I think she can step it up, Miss Keelan Peacock. And then we've seen Kennedy Horn do what she's done. And there's plenty of others. And I kind of hope going forward, we play powerhouse teams in the next 2 games. If we can tie or win one of these games, it is going to be a huge, huge statement for the soccer team.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like you said, there's some key pieces in there on our offense that can do very good. And we're looking forward to that. Moving on to volleyball, big home conference opener against Southern Miss on Friday and Saturday. We can see it here. Pretty even on a lot of these stats here.
Yeah, you're going to see that a lot with these volleyball teams. Is the stats for this game or any game in general, they're going to be pretty close. I think both teams are pretty high-powered offensively, and I think what's going to separate this Arkansas State team is the blocks per game. You have Deidreana Kale and Haley Gluns at the front line.
Whitlock.
These players are special. We've seen it all season, but Southern Miss is really good, and we're going through a gauntlet right now in Sunbelt play for Arkansas State. It was a rough week last week, and record-wise and statistically, the teams that we're playing this week, it's another gauntlet. But I think Arkansas State has shown how well they can play against the high-powered teams that we've mentioned numerous times, and we've seen it multiple times in conference play.
We've seen the greatness of this team in this entire season so far, in non-conference especially, and then we go into conference play and we're looking to go back-to-back in Sun Belt championships. And I honestly think that this team can do it. I don't think there is a team in the Sun Belt that can match up to Arkansas State nearly as well as everybody thinks they can. Arkansas State has so much potential in volleyball, and they've proven it. That's the one thing that differentiates them from a lot of the other sports here on campus, is that Arkansas State's volleyball team has proven that they're great and that they can go out and they can beat these big teams in these big games. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see them do this weekend.
I think you summed it up perfectly. And record-wise, I don't think is indicative on this team.
I mean, well, we're 8-5.
But I think we could be a lot better, and I just don't want people to count us out because we're close to 500. We got to remember we played Georgia Tech, we played Ole Miss, we played Mizzou, we played these high-powered teams, and we've responded really well. We've shown up, we've looked really good. So going into conference play, like we talked about, this team can really match up against anybody, and I think can repeat what they did last year.
Absolutely. Again, their record 8-5 and 1-1 in conference. We'll see if they can improve upon that this weekend as they host Southern Miss at home. We'll be right back for some more previews in football this time. A big game coming up for the Red Wolves.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. Getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
When you say experience counts, it's experience that counts for a lifetime.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable as the Red Wolves in football will take on the Texas State Bobcats this week. Texas State, very good football team.
Yeah, this team is one of the powerhouses of the Sun Belt and probably the best team in the West.
Yes.
And we're matching up against a high-powered rushing offense that has a huge, I guess in general, just a really good offense. They played really well against UTSA. They destroyed Nichols. They've had a really good season. Unfortunately, their one loss was against Arizona State, which is a really high-powered team, and which they fared pretty decently.
Yeah.
But Texas State against Arkansas State, this is our first home game in a minute.
I will say, this being a home game, Arkansas State has played a lot better at home than they have on the road this season.
That's a good point.
And I think that might play that might be a factor in this upcoming game. We saw how they did against Iowa State. We saw how they did against SEMO. Those have been our only 2 home tests this year. The rest of them have been on the road. I think us playing at home this week gives us a little bit of an advantage, but I don't know how much. It also depends on, is the offense going to wake up? Is the defense going to step up? What are we going to do about, the rest of the team playing with morale, like keeping spirits high? I think the crowd in Jonesboro, since this is like Ag Day and everything coming up as well, I think it's going to be a good crowd. This is, I believe, a nationally televised game, is it not?
I believe so, yes.
And so there's definitely going to be some people there, and I think the atmosphere there is going to give the Red Wolves a little bit of a boost.
Really quickly, I want to point out that this Texas State defense has struggled, and I think Arkansas State has the chance to show how good the offense can be. But on the contrary, the defense, the safeties will be really tested this week. This passing offense, even though they're outgained by the rushing attack, can sling the ball. I saw it against UTSA. The safeties will be tested this week. They have a really good receiving core and a really good quarterback. So, yep, just like you said, the defense is going to be tested, but I think the offense can respond because Texas State's defense hasn't looked the best this year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's going to about wrap it up for us here on Red Wolf Roundtable today. Be sure to tune in next week as we will review these games that we just talked about and preview some new ones coming up here for the Red Wolves in the Sun Belt Conference. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.